Power is not a moral reward. It's a strategic outcome in a world that often preaches kindness, fairness, and compassion as the foundations of leadership. Machiavelli dares to say what few are willing to admit. Morality is a luxury the powerless cannot afford. The hard truth is this: good intentions alone don't protect you from betrayal, loss, or collapse. Strategy does. You can be a kind soul and still be devoured by the wolves. You can speak of fairness and be crushed by those who understand how the game is really played. Machiavelli understood the battlefield of power wasn't built on ideals. It was built on perception, timing, leverage, and fear. He didn't encourage cruelty for cruelty's sake. He simply accepted the brutal logic of survival. Sometimes being good is not enough. You must be effective. You must outthink, outmaneuver, and outlast. Power doesn't reward purity, it rewards precision. And this isn't just for kings and rulers. In modern life, from corporate boardrooms to political campaigns, from competitive workplaces to high-stakes negotiations, the same principle applies. Those who cling blindly to morality in ruthless environments often become martyrs. Meanwhile, those who understand the emotional chess game, who know when to smile, when to strike, and when to say nothing, shape the outcome. This isn't a call to become heartless, it's a call to become awake, strategic. Aware that being good doesn't always mean being safe, and being feared doesn't always mean being evil. The true leader, Machiavelli says, is the one who sees clearly, acts precisely, and refuses to be destroyed by illusions. When people hear the name Machiavelli, they often imagine a medieval prince, a ruthless king, or a tyrant ruling from a golden throne, but that's a narrow lens. The truth is, Machiavelli wasn't just writing for monarchs. He was writing for anyone who must survive in a competitive world. His book, The Prince, may have been addressed to rulers, but his lessons echo through the walls of modern life and politics, business relationships, and even the unspoken rules of social survival. In today's world, power isn't just held in palaces, it's in offices, Zoom meetings, online platforms, classrooms, and boardrooms. And while you may not wear a crown, you are still expected to play the game. You're expected to navigate alliances, manage perception, protect your territory, and make decisions that might not always align with your feelings, but are necessary for your growth. Machiavelli's brilliance lies in how universal his truths really are. If you've ever had to choose between loyalty and advancement, if you've ever hidden what you felt to preserve your position, if you've ever had to act strong when you felt weak, then you're already living the life of a modern prince. This is why The Prince endures. Not because it teaches cruelty, but because it unmasks reality. It speaks to those who are tired of losing for being too kind, too honest, too predictable. Machiavelli invites us to wake up, to stop playing the game blindfolded. He teaches us that power perception and strategic thinking are not reserved for kings. They are the tools of anyone who refuses to be ruled by naivety, and in today's world, that includes you. Loyalty cannot be rented, it must be earned or built. Machiavelli warned that hiring soldiers who fight only for pay mercenaries was not just risky, it was fatal. These men, he said, have no skin in your game. They don't bleed for your cause. They show up for the paycheck, not for the mission. And when the tides turn, they'll abandon you, or worse, betray you. The lesson isn't just about war. It's about life, leadership, and trust. In today's world, mercenaries come in many forms. They're the colleagues who flatter you when you're winning, but vanish when you fall. The friends who stick around for benefits, not for loyalty. The partners who align with you only when it's convenient. When pressure hits, when money fades, when storms rise, they're the first to leave. Why? Because they were never truly with you. Machiavelli's advice is timeless. Surround yourself with people whose interests are tied to yours. People who rise when you rise. People who feel the impact of your decisions, not just witness them from a safe distance. Build teams, alliances, and friendships rooted in shared purpose, not transactional gain. Loyalty forged in shared struggle will outlast any short-term reward. There's a certain heartbreak in realizing someone you trusted was only loyal to their own comfort. But it's also a necessary awakening. Because true power isn't just about gaining support, it's about knowing who will stand beside you when the fire comes. So don't be dazzled by smiles or smooth words. Ask yourself when the world turns cold, who will stay? Machiavelli's answer was clear. Never stake your future on those who have nothing to lose if you fall. Greatness leaves clues, but only the wise know how to read them. Machiavelli believed that no leader, no warrior, no strategist rises in a vacuum. Power doesn't come from raw instinct alone. It's built on the backs of those who came before, on lessons won through blood, failure, and triumph. His advice was simple, yet profound. Imitate the greats. Not blindly, not as a copy, but as a blueprint. a starting point from which your own excellence can evolve. Throughout The Prince, Machiavelli draws from ancient empires, legendary rulers, and failed invasions. He urges the reader to walk in the footsteps of those who dared, ruled, and shaped history. Because while the world changes, human nature rarely does. The same pride, fear, ambition, and desire for control that drove Caesar Alexander or Augustus still move people today in boardrooms, governments, and families alike. To ignore history is to walk into battle unarmed, but to study it is to carry a secret weapon, a map through chaos. Think of how much pain could be avoided if we simply learned from those who made the climb before us. Their scars are our instruction. Their patterns of thinking, decision-making, and leadership are a treasure chest for the modern mind. Yet imitation alone is not enough. You must also adapt. You must know when to follow the old path and when to carve your own. You must filter their brilliance through your reality, your time, your battlefield. That balance between learning and evolving is where true mastery begins. Machiavelli wasn't just teaching how to rule. He was handing you a compass. Don't reinvent the wheel, but don't be afraid to drive it through unknown terrain. Power is not only about what you build, it's about what you prevent. One of Machiavelli's most chilling and timeless warnings is this: never under any circumstance help your rivals grow stronger. It may feel strategic in the short term, an alliance, a favor, a compromise, but in the long run you are feeding the very hand that may one day strike you. And when it does, it will not hesitate. History is riddled with examples. Leaders who thought they could manage a rival only to be betrayed. Businesses that funded a future competitor, thinking they'd stay in their lane. Individuals who underestimated ambition in others. Machiavelli saw firsthand how the King of France empowered the Pope and the Spanish, only to watch them seize control and dominate the region he once hoped to rule. It was a fatal miscalculation, one that echoes across time in real life. The same pattern unfolds. Maybe it's the coworker you mentored who now tries to replace you. The friend you vouched for who turned on you. The company you gave information to, now copying your entire model. The truth is harsh. Not everyone you help will stay loyal. Some will use your generosity as fuel to outrun you. Machiavelli teaches us not to be paranoid, but to be wise. Strengthen your position before others can threaten it. Be selective in your alliances. Don't just ask, does this benefit me? Now ask, could this cost me everything later? This isn't about cruelty. It's about clarity. Power is not preserved by kindness alone. It is defended by foresight, by boundaries, and by the courage to say no when others expect a yes. Because once a rival rises, they rarely forget who kept them small and who didn't. Real control isn't taken through force alone, it's sustained through understanding. Machiavelli understood something most conquerors, leaders, and even modern managers forget when you seize power. The biggest threat isn't rebellion, it's resentment. And resentment festers when people feel like everything familiar has been stripped away. That's why Machiavelli advised rulers to leave a conquered people's customs laws and daily life largely intact. Don't erase their world, integrate into it. Keep what matters to them, and they're more likely to accept what matters to you. Whether you're taking over a kingdom or stepping into a new leadership role, the lesson is the same if you want people to follow. Don't begin by destroying everything they know. Begin by listening. People fear change. Not because it's different, but because it feels like an attack on their identity. Stability breeds loyalty. Familiarity creates trust. Even in chaos, people will cling to what feels like home. Machiavelli went further. He even recommended allowing local governance as long as it remained loyal to you. That's not weakness, that's intelligent control. People are more likely to follow someone who lets them keep their dignity than someone who demands blind obedience. And when they feel they've had a say, even a small one, they resist less and comply more. In modern leadership, this could mean honoring company culture when restructuring. In politics, it means respecting traditions when initiating reform. In relationships, it means knowing when to bend, so you don't break what you're trying to build, to rule without revolt. Don't erase the past, learn to hold power with a steady hand, one that adapts without appearing to dominate. Because the strongest grip isn't always the tightest. Sometimes it's the one that holds gently and never lets go. Power without timing is wasted potential. Timing without power is a missed opportunity. Machiavelli believed that real leadership is forged at the crossroads of these two forces, strength and circumstance. It's not enough to be powerful. If the moment isn't right, your strength may backfire. And it's not enough to be handed a golden opportunity if you lack the courage or means to seize it. Success belongs to those who can align what they have with when they use it. In life, many fall into one of two traps. Some wait forever, building, preparing, sharpening their tools, yet when opportunity finally knocks, they hesitate. Others leap at the first glimpse of chance, unprepared, underpowered, and ultimately overwhelmed. The Machiavellian leader knows better. He studies the moment, he waits with discipline. And when the timing is right, he strikes without mercy, without delay. Machiavelli warned against relying solely on fortune. Luck is fickle, markets crash, empires fall, people betray. If your success depends on external forces, on being liked, on being lucky, on being given, you will be crushed the moment the wind shifts. The wise ruler builds power from within, influence, leverage, competence, control, so that when fortune fades, he still stands. This lesson holds in every realm in business. Launching too early can kill a great idea. In politics, pushing reform too late can lose momentum. In personal life, missing the right moment can close a door forever. Power means being ready. Timing means knowing when to move. Leadership means combining both. So prepare your arsenal, sharpen your mind. But wait for the right second, because when power meets timing, the impossible becomes inevitable. And in that brief intersection, history is made. Love is fragile. Fear endures. In one of Machiavelli's most controversial yet enduring lessons, he declares that while being loved is desirable, being feared is safer. Why? Because love is conditional. It changes with mood, opinion, circumstance. But fear anchors behavior. It creates boundaries. It compels respect even when affection fades. Fear holds the line when love disappears. This doesn't mean you must become cruel or tyrannical. Machiavelli isn't glorifying brutality. He's exposing a harsh truth. People are inconsistent. They admire strength more than they admit. They often confuse kindness for weakness. And when a leader is too soft, too forgiving, too eager to be liked, they invite disobedience, disloyalty, even betrayal. In modern life, this plays out everywhere from toxic workplace dynamics to broken relationships to failing political systems. Leaders who try too hard to be everyone's friend often lose control. Parents who never instill fear of consequence raise children who don't respect limits. Managers who want to be liked avoid hard decisions and their teams fall apart. But fear, when applied strategically and ethically, sets clear expectations. It sends a message. I'm not to be crossed. When paired with fairness and competence, fear doesn't breed rebellion, it breeds order. Machiavelli even warns that if you must use force, do it decisively and all at once. Dragging out punishment creates the image of a tyrant, but swift, clear action, even if harsh, sends a signal of power and finality. People don't fear cruelty as much as they fear unpredictability. So yes, be respected. If possible, be loved. But above all, be someone who is not easily tested, because love may warm the heart, but fear protects the crown in the theater of power. Appearance often matters more than truth. Machiavelli understood that in politics and in life, people don't follow what is real. They follow what looks real. He advised rulers to project the image of being merciful, faithful, religious, generous, and just. Even if behind closed doors, they must often act in contradiction to these ideals. Not because they are immoral, but because they are realists. Because survival sometimes demands a hand that is steady, not sentimental. People are drawn to symbols. They want to believe in the character, the story, the illusion. A leader who seems virtuous inspires trust, even if their success comes from cold calculation. On the surface, you should be composed, dignified, and morally upright. But beneath that surface, you must be willing to do what needs to be done. This is not hypocrisy, it is strategy. In everyday life, this lesson applies to how you manage your reputation at work. In relationships, in leadership, your image becomes your leverage. If you appear too emotional, too reactive, too inconsistent, people will sense weakness. But if you master control, if you appear patient when you're furious, generous when you're calculating or peaceful, when you're positioning to strike, you become untouchable. This is not about being fake. It's about understanding the difference between private reality and public necessity. You must learn to operate in two worlds, the one of raw truth and the one of curated image. Because if people see your hand too clearly, they can block your next move. Machiavelli's warning is timeless. Do not appear timid, soft, or unstable. Instead, be the lion behind the mask of a saint. Because perception doesn't just shape your reputation, it is your power. If you must strike, strike. Once, strike hard and make it final. In one of Machiavelli's most unsettling yet brutally insightful lessons, he warns leaders that when force or cruelty becomes necessary, hesitation is the enemy. Prolonged punishment breeds hatred. Repeated corrections feel like persecution, but a single decisive blow, though painful, can establish authority and end resistance. It is better to execute 100 men in one day, he says, than to kill one man each day for 100 days. This principle isn't about savagery, it's about psychology. Human beings can recover from shock, but not from chronic fear. When a leader acts swiftly with clarity and finality, people process it as strength, even if they dislike it. But when a leader drags out retribution, applying punishment piece by piece, they begin to look weak, vindictive, and unstable. The people don't fear that kind of leader. They begin to plot against them. In real life, this principle plays out beyond politics and warfare. Think of a boss who takes forever to discipline a toxic employee, creating chaos for months. Or a partner who punishes in silence over time instead of confronting an issue directly. The damage doesn't come from the act itself. It comes from the erosion of respect and stability over time. Machiavelli teaches us a bitter truth. If hard decisions must be made, make them with courage and finality. Don't flinch, don't stall. End the chaos quickly and allow healing to begin. The same hands that deliver discipline must also build peace afterward. People respect those who act with resolve even if they disagree. Because deep down we all know the world is not ruled by intentions but by outcomes. And sometimes mercy lies not in softness but in the precision of a single unflinching act. In a world obsessed with appearances and ideals, Machiavelli offers a sobering wake-up call. Life isn't fair and power isn't always moral. But that doesn't mean you have to become heartless. It means you must become strategic. His lessons remind us that success in today's world, whether in business leadership or personal growth, isn't about being blindly kind or endlessly patient. It's about knowing when to be gentle and when to be sharp. It's about understanding people, predicting motives, controlling perception, and never empowering those who could rise against you. The deeper message is this: don't live with your guard down. Learn from those who've won before you. Build relationships with loyalty, not convenience. Project strength, even when you feel vulnerable. If you must take bold action, do it decisively, not incrementally. And never confuse being liked with being respected. Machiavelli doesn't teach cruelty, he teaches clarity. He doesn't glorify manipulation, he teaches survival. In a chaotic world where rules change fast and trust is rare, his principles serve not as a manual for evil, but as a code for navigating power with eyes wide open. So whether you're leading a team, building a business, or protecting your personal boundaries, remember this: you don't have to be ruthless, but you must be real. Because those who see clearly, act wisely, and move strategically, not sentimentally, are the ones who don't just survive, they lead.